us. Um, I think we can have a quick chat first while we wait for a few more and participants, or do we want to go straight, Mateo?
How many more are
I would
there?
wait a couple of minutes. We'll chit chat in just a couple of minutes, so we always have a lot of people joining in the following 3 to 4 minutes.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll just wait a couple more minutes. Maybe Evangeline, before we get into the topic of side, if you want to share a bit with everyone about your career, where you got to where you are right now. What was the idea of launching Kobe came from? So if you just want to share a bit of more personal context, maybe.
Yeah, sure, I'd love to. So you guys are at Jakarta, right? Everybody's like physically in Jakarta as well, the students.
I'm the only one actually that is in Singapore probably right now. Now we have a couple of people from KL, but
Yep.
not everyone from Jakarta. Few other
Most
cities,
though, yeah, most.
Mostly. Yeah, because my father, he's actually based in Ujung Pandang, those that are familiar with Indonesia. But now he's in Singapore. So my father spends 3/4 of his time in Indonesia for the last 30 years. He has a timber business, deals with mobile, parquet. So there's a little bit familiarity with Indonesia because I was brought up knowing quite a bit of how he works and all that stuff. So I always have this affinity in Indonesia. So well, that's for my personal life. And I started Kobe 4 years ago in 2016. We just celebrated our 4th anniversary last month. And before that, I spent around 11 years in performance marketing. For those that may not be very familiar, so everyone here is kind of familiar with marketing. Yes.
They should.
Yes.
They should.
They
yes.
should be. Otherwise,
it's
they haven't been
a safe assumption to make. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess then everybody knows performance marketing. Yeah, I can see you nodding in front of a screen. Into like SEM, SEO, and all that stuff. So I've done that for quite some time, and then 4 years ago I started to see that there's some gaps in the market when it comes to influencer marketing. It's a lot about wow, influencer looks good, how much does it cost? Oh, $10,000 US dollars for one photo. But why? When I buy a keyword, I usually know why. I know what bid position, I know the click-through that's going to happen and things like that. But influencer, the rates are all flying around all over the place. And then but there just seems to be so much potential for influencer marketing, because a lot of things that we consume nowadays, TV shows, Netflix. The reason why we're on Netflix is because someone shared about something very interesting that they are watching, So there is a certain power in influencer marketing. It's just that how do you do this better, right? So I started to discover a little bit more, and then I tried it out first on a family friend customer who sells local noodles in Singapore, and it worked out really well for him. So then I decided, okay, let's just try to Google what's called an entrepreneur and what do you mean by starting a business. Oh, so you got to register a business, and just Google the way through. Yeah. So never really was a wake up and born with, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur kind. Just found out along the way, really.
And maybe a little bit about Kobe over the years. Like, what sort of traction have you kind of seen, and what's the market like, I guess, for influencers now in 2020? Because I know that with COVID, it hit the influencer market quite a bit. Yeah.
Actually, I prepared a little bit of slides to share on what we're doing right now. Should we go into that, or should we wait?
Yeah,
for
let's. I think we should just go. We're recording this, so whoever's late can kind of watch it later.
Okay.
Got it.
Let's go.
All right. So. So I'll be touching on two main topics today, right? About word of mouth as well as influencer marketing. But firstly, a little bit of introduction about what we do. I guess I introduced myself already in digital marketing. Won a couple of awards here and there for the marketing and as well as the technology that we have. So what Kobe does is a end-to-end influencer marketing strategy. Together with our clients, we plan what are the stories they want to be telling to the world. And then we try to find out what is the right way to get influencers to promote their products. It could be a paid campaign, and it also could be a non-paid campaign, which means sometimes we pay influencers, sometimes we do not. Some of you might be familiar with Casetify. They are a mobile case brand. So recently we also launched a campaign in Indonesia for Casetify. And we didn't have to pay the influencers because Casetify themselves, they have a very strong brand equity. So something like that is more of an awareness campaign. So it was very fun. Within 24 hours, their phone cases got sold out and they had to restock and all that. So we usually customize whichever makes more sense for our clients. We also do some branding campaigns whereby it's not so raw. It's very curated. We have a story angle that's consistent brand stories that we're trying to tell. You can see for McDonald's, this one, it was a McDonald's launch for, of course, during the non-COVID period where we got people together. It was a lot of storyboarding, video concept, and directing how we want the content to look like. We also do campaigns that drive sales. I also want to find out if it's a thing in Indonesia about live selling on Facebook, those people that are pushing your products on Facebook. I'm not sure whether we are going to interact with the participants, or could we just get responses on that note?
Yes, we feel free to ask any questions, and then typically we have quite some interaction. Yeah.
Nice. I like it. So in Indonesia, is there like social selling as well? Like on Facebook, people are selling you products?
Facebook Live, Instagram Live. It's quite a big thing, and e-commerces especially. At least the ones that I've helped out, we do kind of like live lunchtime live selling. So it's like they would show the product, they would talk about it, and then people can order directly live. So
nice.
It is kind of big, yeah.
Good, because that's one of the things that we do as well. So we kind of redefine the word influencer. Whoever can cast a voice online, we want you. You could be Kim Kardashian. You could be that typical influencer looking pretty in Instagram, or you could be a social seller on Facebook. You could be a micro influencer. Whoever can cast an influence, we would just pair the right people. So sometimes our campaigns involve social sellers in Singapore. In Singapore, which is where we are based in, the social sellers based around a few key product segments, from live seafood to home apparels, IT gadgets, electronics, as well as religious items. Yeah. So that is what we do. These are the key numbers that we have. To date, we've got 5,500 influencers that have signed up with us. Across APAC, we've got access to 500,000 influencers, but these are the ones that are signed up. They give us 45 million coverage across the world. So far, we've managed to deliver 1 million engagements through our content. On an average monthly basis, we transact around 590 influencer transactions, which means these influencers, we pay them, they produce content for our clients. It's a huge volume, but our headcount is really small. We only have 15 people in our team, 15. So with such a lean team, right, the reason why we are able to produce this kind of volume is because we have a patent technology that we have this patent also we have applied in Indonesia. So 6 countries in Southeast Asia, including Japan and Korea. Got a pretty decent satisfaction score between both our clients as well as our influencers. So this patent that we own, it's a AI-powered influencer pairing engine. So we study influencers' profile through image recognition and natural language understanding, IR and NLU. So by profiling them in this way, number one, it gives us scale, accuracy, and it's a lot more objective profiling. So based on these data points, we are then able to pair them automatically with our clients, which from the client's perspective, we understand their impact that they are wanting to achieve, what is the brand personality, and we match that with our influencers. So this really helps us. So far, these are the clients that we are working with. A few key ones that perhaps the Indonesian friends and Malaysian friends would be familiar with will be McDonald's for sure, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, competitors. And then these are the three key clients that we have, and a lot are retail malls, personal care ones. Right now in the COVID, we're running a lot of personal care, healthcare supplements. The personal category is now our strongest one, so it really changes from time to time. We used to run a lot of tourism one, obviously right now it's not the case, but we do see them picking up. They're all aiming for recovery, so that's quite fun over there. We've seen a very nice CAGR, compound annual growth rate, over the years since we started in 2016. So I think quite thankful to the clients that have been supporting us, the influencers, as well as the governing authorities. As you guys may have known by now, Singapore is a fine country. Rules and regulations are relatively strict. So you got to be really tight with the rules of influencers, because sometimes, you know, I'm not sure whether perhaps in Indonesia it's not that tight. I'm sure it isn't as tight as Singapore. When you put up a content on social media, you gotta say that it's sponsored by someone. Otherwise, the taxing authority is gonna knock on your door very quickly. So.
I didn't know about that. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of rules. I'll be sharing a little bit more with you guys about the rules. Even if you get a sponsored a free meal, as long as you know they didn't pay you, you just get a free, you know, French fries. You gotta declare it by right. It's kind of crazy, right? Yeah. But the rules are there, and we're going to share with you guys later. Yeah, so this is enough about ourselves. So in general, we are looking at disrupting the advertising industry. You guys are in the digital marketing. You've learned a little bit of digital marketing. So you can see that in digital marketing, right, the ad spends and the trends have been changing. 46% of people are blocking ads, which is kind of scary for our industry. As much as we are learning all these things about how to optimize, how to put your ads at the right placements, programmatic, but half of whoever you're trying to reach out to actually doesn't really want to see what you're trying to do. That's scary thought, number one. Number two, the other half that did not block your ads could be mentally blocking you. Because I mean, when you are scrolling through a website, we kind of automatically skim through the ad and stop looking at it. And then that makes a dangerous statement out there. So, oh dear, why am I studying digital marketing when people are blocking my ads? So I think the crux here, and I think RevoU also put together all the different content to share with the students, because we need to be ready for any disruptions that's going on. And a lot of the disruption is going to be around content, about how to ace emotions, how to cut through the clutter, do more in-depth attribution tracking across all the ads that are being run. So I'll be sharing with you about how influencer marketing will take on quite a big chunk of share in the advertising space. And generally, it just means that instead of putting on a platform, which is a what we call non-human medium, like putting up an ad on Google, on Facebook, now you're just putting an ad on human being. And we're just trying to find out how we can best do that at scale. Okay, so going back to the curriculum about what's word of mouth marketing. So for the students that are tuning in, if you guys got any questions, just feel free to raise your hand or type in the chat, or unmute yourself and just ask the question, okay? So it's important to first understand the history and the origins of what word of mouth is, because that is the reason why influencer marketing is even something to be talking about right now, because it is us endorsing something else and spreading a message because we believe in whatever we are buying. And to ace word of mouth marketing is to be able to give people a reason to talk about the brand's products. And the reason could be currency. It could also be social currency. Sometimes it doesn't mean that we give people money. They are definitely going to endorse our product. Sometimes it doesn't mean that we give people commission. They will sell our products. I think people that have worked with salespeople, there are a lot of salespeople that aren't able to do sales even with commission. So what is then the motivation behind recommending products? We're going to uncover it, okay? So the evolution of marketing really started off on the left side, where people always try to push products onto into the customers, what we call like the snake oil salesman, right? And then after that, people started to know about broadcast channels, right? The TV that can reach a lot more people and put ads on TV. And then people started to think about, okay, I need to be a little bit more humorous, creative, find out my own character, right? To engage customers more. And then after that, we all talk about being authentic. We need to be truthful. We need to have our brand values, our mission statement to be able to tell the story. And today, nobody cares. It's just about what someone else has said. I mean, it was pretty cool when I was in a, I think physical seminar where we could have a seminar. We just kind of ask each other, like the clothes that you're wearing, the bubble tea that you're holding, the shoes that you're wearing, the sneakers, the white pair of sneakers that you own. Why do you have that? Did you see an ad? Or did you see someone on social media? Or did your friend actually recommend it? So that's something quite interesting to talk about. So about word of mouth, the power of word of mouth is two things. Number one, credibility. Just imagine you're in a place where you're deciding whether you should go to which fitness gym you should be going to, right? And then every gym kind of looks the same. The only difference is the location, whether it's near your place, gives you convenience. The price package pretty much is the same. You know, either sign a 6 months plan, a 12 months plan, a one-time free trial. But suddenly your friend tells you, hey, I use this gym too. They're pretty cool. Awesome. He didn't even say much about it. He just said it's pretty cool. But it gives an automatic uplift in the credibility. And sometimes in this case, the gym, without having to spend a lot of marketing budgets to capture you, or the salesperson, you know, lock you down in a room and try to close you, sell you a package. It's just one word from a friend and it brings the sale through the door within one day. It shortens the sales cycle a lot, and hence things can become a lot more profitable with word of mouth. Some stats to share with you guys is we're looking at a rate of 0.04% click-through rate for display ads, and a large percentage of people who ignore banner ads. And that's where we really need to find out, you know, if the consumers are only going to trust each other, then I need to ace my consumers to make them spread word of mouth for me. And number one, it could be free. It could be. And number two, I don't have to spend so much time trying to run ads that people are ignoring. So, interesting thing is that today, when we go to a restaurant, when we can, or when we buy something, the natural tendency is to check out who else has reviewed this product. Even just looking into Facebook or Instagram, even when we're sitting in the restaurant, we are thinking about which item in the menu to be ordering. We're just gonna look through Instagram, look at the previous tagged photos. Okay, this looks pretty good. The cheese pool effect is making me really hungry now. So reviews and social recommendations has become a part and parcel of our life, in fact. Okay, so 60% of buyers that come through referrals, they buy a lot faster and less price sensitive, as from the example that I've shared about the gym. And all businesses, all marketers want our customers to stop haggling on price. First question is, how much is it? Why? Are you sure? And then they take a long time. But when a lead or a referral or a customer comes through someone else's recommendation, they usually are a lot less price sensitive because there is an innate credibility and trust that's been built over there. So I just introduced to you about what we call the word of mouth industry here. Number one, there is a broad-based kind of a social media platform that has people coming in to talk, converse, create content, consume content. These are commonly known as, for example, Facebook and Instagram, right? And on the left side, you can see that the user behavior, it's really random. We log on to Facebook, Instagram, kind of just to entertain ourselves. It's a quick consumption of content between commute when we are stuck in a jam, or right now, even just, I finish a call, I'm going to the washroom, whipping out my phone, just a quick scroll, or I have a quick breather. So it takes up the little nuggets in between our main activities. And the behavior is usually random and it's on a surfing behavior. We're not actively looking for anything in particular, unlike in search. It's just being random, laughing at certain jokes, keeping up with whatever I have might have missed. Social media hooks us a lot because of what we call the FOMO effect, fear of missing out. And that's what making us go back to social media, because I don't want to miss out on an update. Don't you know what is happening in the world right now? It's COVID. Are you even on social media? And on the right side, then in this case, understanding that the user behavior is really random and to get updates, the objective here is to be able to appeal to this large pool of eyeballs that is looking at social media, building brand, building awareness over there. And then we go to a little bit more narrow segment, what we call the more segment specific kinds. For example, TripAdvisor, when we're thinking about which hotel, I already know that I'm going for a vacation. I have a little bit more intent into that segment that I'm going for, which is in this case, travel. I will go there and see which hotel has had good reviews, bad reviews. I will also do my own judgment whether I think the reviews are real or not. We would see if the photos look legitimate. Okay, this is the owner's photos. Better look through what the other visitors have put up. We have become so smart into knowing which content is good for me and which is not. Sometimes we may even see complaints and we'll go like, the complaint is a little bit too critical. I don't think so. I still like this brand anyway. So you see, we have all made our own decisions and we know where to look for our own information. So this is more segment specific. Okay, and then the user behavior, usually we are already having a certain intent and we are searching around them. So for the business wise, to be on this segment specific platforms is to make sure that your brand or however you want to be representing your products, services, photos, it has a very clear differentiation and is able to stand out from competitors, because bearing in mind, these segment specific platforms, all the competitors are just right beside you. Okay. And then for the last one, which is the most specific one, would be the exact Facebook pages, the websites of the brands, where, okay, I've decided I am going to stay at the Marriott Hotel, okay, and I'm going to go into your Facebook page just to check on you a little bit more before I do that final click of booking, right? And over there, the user behavior is either to give you to do that final check or to give you reviews, okay? Usually we are looking like a bell curve for giving reviews. So imagine a bell curve in front of you, okay? The front and the first part of the bell curve would be people that usually give really good reviews. Like, oh, I love your service. This has changed my life. You if you didn't happen as a business, I don't think I can ever live on. Those extreme good ones that you have done something extremely different for him or her. He's gonna come in and give you something extreme, right? And then you go to the other tail end of the bell curve. You have the extreme bad reviews where people get really upset with you. You spill the wine on their $1 million dress, or something like that really nasty happened. They're going to come in and they're going to give you a review. But the main bulk of the population out there belongs to the bulk of the bell curve. Excuse me. And they are the people who are pretty neutral. And that's 99% of the population. It's okay. I don't have much comments. I'm lazy to give a review, good or bad. So only 1% of people would actually give reviews, and that is only if they have experienced a really good one or a really nasty one. So, which means the business objective over here is, of course, to get a lot more better reviews. And how do we convert the people, which is the bulk of the people in the bell curve, to get them to be more encouraging, give them more incentives to spread good word of mouth for us, write reviews. So that's the business objective on the right-hand side. Okay. So why do we go out there to share? If we want to encourage our customers to give us good word of mouth, we need to understand first what will even motivate them, right? Of course, giving money is easy, so I just want to put that aside. But people talk about the brands because they feel like they own it, they understand the subject topic. For example, if you ask me what's Crash Landing on You, which is a really popular drama that's happening on Netflix right now, right? I'm going to share with you a lot about it because I've watched it, I know the characters, I know the plot. I feel like I understand something. I feel good because I am the subject matter expert. And this is one of the reasons that motivates people. It also helps me to tell you something about myself, which is I really like Korean dramas and I'm not shy about it, and perhaps I'm really proud of it. However, if it's something that, well, I am reading a book on how to teach idiots how to cook at home, and I'm a little bit shy about the fact that it's a 101 book for idiots who can't cook at home, I'm not going to share that. Although I have read the book and I fully understand it, but it doesn't make me feel proud about myself because I don't want to portray that image that I cannot cook at all. So it needs to enhance something about myself, something that I want to be portraying and makes me feel good. And so then in this case, I will then be compelled to talk about something that about the business. Okay. So after we understand what motivates people to share about our brand, also we need to know why would others even listen, right? Number one, they got to trust whoever that's sharing about the brand. They need to understand where this person is coming from. Okay, coming back from the gym example, okay, the person that was sharing about a gym is using the gym themselves. Right? Because I am a user, I have that experience, I understand that something, and I feel proud that I am a fitness junkie, that I go to the gym really often. I share about it, and when I share it with my friend. My friend trusts me, and they understand that I am I'm a fitness junkie, and I love going to the gym. And it's interesting for them because I share with them certain interesting features of the gym and things like that. One thing to note is that if I am introducing my friend the gym and my friend realizes that, oh, I actually get a 1 month free gym extension if I were to get him on board the gym program, do you think he might start to trust me a little less if I did not tell him about this incentive that I'm getting from the gym? So I think likely yes, because that friend may feel like, why didn't you tell me you have certain benefits out of sharing about this? So something tricky about word of mouth is if there is an incentive to be given and the person who is sharing it, it is important for them to declare it. Okay, so that they don't have this bad taste after sharing this. Okay, so what can marketers do to enhance word of mouth marketing? Okay, there are a few methods. The first example I want to share with you is buzz marketing. Okay, this is a horror movie that was played in Singapore, I think around 2007, thereabout, where I was just 10 years old. No, I'm just kidding. So in this movie, right, it was shown during the Hungry Ghost Festival. So for those that are not so familiar, every year during August, which is happening in a couple of months, it's this Chinese Hungry Ghost Festival, right, where people believe that the gates to hell will open, and for that whole month, it'll be flooded with ghosts and spirits and all that. So it's a Chinese belief. So Singaporeans, a large majority of them believe in the Hungry Ghost Festival. So when this movie launched, they launched during the Hungry Ghost Festival, which is called the Chinese 7th month. And there was a lot of rumors going around about this movie, that when they were trying to produce the movie, most of the crew had met horrible accidents when they're trying to shoot the movie. Some of them suddenly couldn't find a way back to the crew and they just turned their head around. That place that they were shooting at, which was a bungalow house, they had a lot of strange noises and things like that. So it was a lot of rumors that was being spread around Singapore. It was so bad that it was featured on the news and on a lot of websites that do all this supernatural sharing and all that. So naturally, I think it kind of encouraged more people to watch the movie. And true enough, they had an amazing box office. A lot of people went to watch the movie. And there was a lot of use of what we call buzz marketing. So in my mind, I was kind of curious, right? So are the rumors true or it's just, marketing efforts? So something interesting is that I think 2 years ago, I attended the seminar, and the seminar was held by the director of this movie, right? He was one of the panelists at the seminar, and I attended the seminar. I think there was around 40 people in the seminar. And the seminar was just talking about his life, right? About his success in all his movies and things like that. And because this movie was so long ago, I didn't even remember that about this movie when I was attending the seminar, until one of the seminar attendees suddenly, during the Q&A session, one of the attendees raised his hand and asked, "Hey, Daniel." So his name is Daniel. "Hey, Daniel, you remember when you were shooting the movie The Maid? There was a lot of rumors going on about, your crew getting injured and all that. So many years has passed already. I just want to ask, was it true? Was it rumors, or did you really did all those things really happen?" I remember exactly what Daniel replied. So Daniel gave a really cheeky face, and then he just said, "What do you think?" And from that moment, I kind of had my own interpretation about what his facial expression showed. And I think it was all part of a marketing effort. And I think it was so well done that none of us thought that it could have been a marketing effort. We thought that it really was, something that was a little bit supernatural that was happening. So that's buzz marketing. And I think Netflix uses a lot of that nowadays. I've seen a lot of content from them that says things like, I think they launched this horror movie, or there was this movie about the bird, like they had to close their eyes, otherwise if they open their eyes, and then the ending part was a lot of blind people. Someone's helping me out. Bird Box. Thank you.
Hi, as always.
Thank you. Yeah, Bird Box. I was trying to remember the name. And they have a lot of all this, content that they put on Facebook, right? One movie that you will never, you cannot miss, right? And then the other time they launched this horror movie as well. The movie that you must not watch alone. I mean, people are gonna watch it, right? The more you ask me not to watch it. So they are very famous for doing this, and I guess they're very successful in doing it. So one is about buzz marketing, where we can, use this to stimulate curiosity. And the next one is viral marketing. We hear this all the time from our clients. "Hey, make me go viral and I can be overnight famous, popular, everybody buy my products." We hate to hear it. And so I want to take a step back and properly define what viral actually means. Okay, so there's two sides of it. One is shares per view. Whether or not after you view a content, will you be motivated to share it? Okay, and the second one is clicks per share. And after you share it, would others click it? And if both are fulfilled, then yeah, you'd likely go viral. And then again, so every time when we do a content, we always have to bear these two thoughts in mind: whether people are going to share it after they view it, and whether people will, click it. So one thing to note on social media is that we have a social media personality, which could be slightly different. I wouldn't say different. It would be a inspirational or aspirational part that we get to curate and put online. See, my real personality is just me, right? I wouldn't do anything about it, the way I walk, the way I stand alone in the lift and things like that. But on social media, I want a platform where I can choose how I want to be looking like. I can curate the way that I would like to see my profile to be in, how I want to portray my tone, the hashtags I want to use, the Insta stories that I choose to Insta story about, and not all the time. So when I get to choose what I want to put online, I have this persona that we call it the elevated self, right? So someone would only share content if it helps in that elevated self and not in the real personality. So I'll give you an example. So my real personality, for example, stay-at-home mother, right? And the elevated self is a busy, successful woman entrepreneur that seems to have 48 hours a day, right? At least that's what I'm trying to create on social media as my persona. So some marketer is trying to target me with, say, cooking recipes, right? Because I cook as well. Remember, I can't cook, right? So it's a 101 cooking. So there's two kinds of content. One is that recipes for successful women outside and inside. I'm going to view it. I will share it because it elevates myself and especially the elevated personality that I'm going for. The second kind of content that it created is 30 little hacks for lazy mothers. I am going to read it because it sounds really interesting for me. It's probably something I can find very useful. I'm going to save it and hide it in my little corner, but I'm not going to share it because it makes me look bad. It doesn't help me in my elevated personality. So very important thing for social media is to understand where your user's persona is and where their goals, their wishes, and their challenges and frustrations, and not to let them look bad on social media. Otherwise, things will not get shown. All right. The next one here is community marketing. Okay, so in this example, Marmite. So to me, Marmite is a very nasty product. I personally do not like it at all. But I know that there are some people who love it and would swear by it. I think it's a very acquired taste. Either you hate it or love it. So they have also formed this bond around the Marmite community and these super fans that would share, Marmite on anything, like even on toast, barbecue, the recipes for Marmite. And they've managed to form their own little cult around Marmite. So I think there are communities that can be built. Even brands like Harley Davidson, they got a very strong believers of the brand. Brands like even Razer Games, the very cultish brand. So marketing within the community can be really strong. Like the age-old saying, right? It's spends a lot less trying to convince an existing customer than to acquire a new one. So when you have a really strong base of community that really advocates and shouts and die-hard loyal fans of your brand, that's where you can do very strong community marketing. So I got this question sometimes. People ask me, but I'm not Harley Davidson. I'm not Marmite. I'm a startup. Having a fresh brand. How do I even get to that stage where people have a cultish following? What do I even start doing to get there, right? I saw a classic example. I really like it. I want to share with you. So I have a friend of mine. He has a food education business. So what he does is that he shares with others juicing recipes, as well as how to eat healthy and all that. So it's a very niche business because you're sharing about healthy lifestyles, healthy recipes and things like that. So his first step, instead of trying to build the cult around the brand, the community around the brand, he built the community around healthy lifestyle advocates as a whole. He started Facebook groups, WhatsApp group chats, for those people around the healthy lifestyle. And then he started to expand that to places for healthy people, foods for healthy people, exercises for healthy people. And he had very tight community, and they got really excited. You know, for us, the food that we eat, you know, they look at the grain, the type of grains, and obviously I'm not part of this community. You know, they are able to articulate exactly the nutrition value and all that thing. So from that, he managed to build a very successful brand. I think within 3 years, his business grew double. So I'm really very happy for him on how he made use of community marketing. So yeah, it's possible, not just for large brands that have seen success like that. The next one, influencer marketing. I'm going to skim through this slide because we're going to talk a lot about it later. Creating conversations, tapping on certain trends. In this case, for the classic Singapore case, I think our first gold medal, Joseph Schooling, and then everybody started to congratulate him during that period. So I think it's very timely right now that the COVID-19 is happening. So it's the number one trending topic, right? When you open your Facebook or the TV, everywhere is COVID, COVID, COVID. So a lot of people, we just held a webinar this afternoon as well, and it's talking about what marketers can be doing during COVID. All the questions were like, should we even mention COVID, or should we just pretend nothing happened? Or, you know, what should we really do during this period? Should we tap on the trend and, you know, say, you know, oh, there is a very sad COVID that's happening, but here's what you can do with my brand. So answer is, let me share with you this observation, this learning that we've learned through tapping on trends and conversations. So remember the very famous pineapple pen guy from Japan, that he started to sing that pineapple pen. You guys have seen that, right? I think it's globally famous. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And then the Gangnam Style, right? You know, people have seen it over and over again. So when we look at these trends, it's kind of funny. It's good to tap on, but you must be really, really quick to tap on them, right? And then in Singapore, what happened was that a few years ago, there was a riot that happened in an area of Singapore. It's called Little India. So there was a riot that happened then. So there was a brand. The brand is a restaurant called Manhattan Fish Market. They sell fish and chips. So when the little riot incident happened, it was plastered all around social media and the news. So what Manhattan Fish Market did was they released a promotion, and the promotion was selling their fish and chips. And the message went, why riot at Little India? Come and have our Bombay fish and chips. The netizens were furious after they wrote this social media post. Everybody started to criticize them, scold them. You know, there are some quite extreme netizens who went in to find out their background, their kids, you know, their you know, screenshot the actual person who wrote it, stalk their lives and things like that. It got quite nasty. I think people were upset because it was a national tragedy, yet the brand sort of wrote on it to promote for themselves. The same thing happened when Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, one of our founding father, passed away. One of the Bread Talk, one of the brands in Singapore, they went to tap on it and kind of say, here's selling a bread that, you know, is to remember our passing of a founding father. And then it was received very badly. Both brands had to put up an ad on our daily newspaper for apology. A public apology had to be issued to calm people down. They also spent a few hundreds of thousands to continue to run ads to apologize. I think for that one content that was being created, quite a bit of money had to be spent to recover things. So it was very nasty. But we've also seen very positive cases that has ridden. So I want to share with you another example. I'm sure you all know the airline Scoot, right? So in Singapore, again, there was something that happened. There was this British guy. His name is called Anton Casey. He came to Singapore. I'm not sure if you guys know him or anything, but he came to Singapore. He took the public train in Singapore, and he wrote something not so nice on Facebook, kind of like, this is so smelly, the train is so smelly, it's for low-class citizens, something like that, right? Wow, the Singaporeans were furious, so they started to scold him, like, go back to your country, blah, 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 blah. And you know, in Singapore, racial harmony is a big thing. Our government takes that really, really seriously. So after that, what Scoot did, Scoot is the airline, right? Scoot published a promotional etiquette to say that, you know, let's chase Anton Casey back together, you know, half price for any British, any air tickets, right? Wow, the netizens were so happy and were like, Scoot, good job, bravo, bravo, best friend ever, let's send him back together. So there's something that we learned out of all these years of social media conversation creation, right? Is that when the whole world is suffering, don't do anything about it. But if the whole world is suffering against one common enemy, that's fine. So you can start to think through about what's happening in your country, what's happening in the past. You realize that if there is a common enemy that we can direct attention to, and it needs to be a bad enemy, right? Not like a national flood or anything, then you can kind of play around with it a little bit. But if it's the whole world suffering, like the COVID-19, do not do anything funny about it. It's not very nice. Okay? All right, so the next one is about blogging. Blogging is a little bit outdated right now, I think, personally, but I still think it's good for SEO. So, I mean, for us, we're still doing it, but more for SEO purposes. The next one is referral programs. Well, this is the reason why we know Uber today. But of course, now Grab has taken over our Southeast Asia market. But if you think back about how you first got to know Uber, it was all about your friend giving you some money to take a free ride, right? And then we were like, okay, sure, why not? Free taxi ride. And it got really successful. I think right now it's still kind of trendy. People still use a lot of referral programs, get people to share, get free credits. Still a good one. Okay, so we are going to enter the next section about influencer marketing. Should we go for a break or anything, or should we just continue?
Ozzy, what do you suggest? Should we go straight?
Well, I mean, if there's any questions about word of mouth marketing, this would be a great time to kind of ask. Anybody have any questions? Anybody? I think we should just go through the material and then at the end have the Q&A.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Let's do it. Okay, so for influencer marketing, I think the common understanding is that it's about finding someone that looks really good with a lot of likes and followers on Instagram. Let's pay her, or maybe not pay her, let's give us our product because it's the best in the world and hopefully she covers it. Which is really not the case. And I want to share with you the psychology behind social media influencers. And let me try to share computer sound.
To answer that question, we set up a hidden camera experiment to see if this woman would stand up.
Can you guys see the screen and hear the voice all right?
All good, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay, great.
At the sound of this tone, simply because everyone else is. You might be thinking you'd never go along with this. Or would you? After just 3 beeps, and without knowing why she's doing it, this woman is now conforming perfectly to the group. But what happens if we take the group away?
Elaine, please.
Okay, now she's alone. The crowd is gone and nobody is watching her except our hidden cameras. What do you think she'll do? She's now conforming to the rules of the group without them even being there. Now, watch what happens when we introduce another outsider who doesn't know the rules.
For a new appointment.
Have a seat and they'll be out in just a couple minutes.
Great,
thanks so much.
Everybody was doing it, so I thought I was supposed to.
Think she'll teach the new guy what to do? We kept the cameras rolling as more unsuspecting patients arrived. And slowly but surely, what began as a random rule for this woman has now become the social norm for everyone in this waiting room. Here to explain what's going on in their brains is Jonah Berger of the University of Pennsylvania.
This sort of internalized form of herd behavior is part of what we call social learning. Starting at a very early age, when we see members of our group perform a task, our brains literally reward us for following in their footsteps.
When I saw everybody stand up, I felt like I needed to join them. Otherwise, I'm like excluded. Once I decided to go with it, then I felt much more comfortable.
Conformity is how we become socialized, but it can also cause us to develop bad habits or repeat past wrongs.
And it's why even this rebel, who wasn't standing for any of this nonsense, eventually joined the ranks. And the only thing more shocking than seeing how easily conformity affects the way you act is that similar forces are subconsciously shaping the way you think right now.
Ozzy, any new ideas on new routines to implement at RevoU at the beginning of the class?
Oh, that's a very interesting
Mateo
thing.
speak bahasa.
Yeah, we should make it like a social norm, right? Like a social proofing.
Yeah, to
right?
be on time and to submit your assignments on time.
Oops. So I think it's very interesting how we feel a lot more comfortable when we conform. And I think every different little classes of people, like RevoU, we have our own little culture around how friendly you guys come in and say hi to the students and all, how are you and all that. And it is very different for different other groups, even other companies, different countries, the cultures and the way we are conforming to the social norms. And you know how things are, like when I tell you, hey, do you know McDonald's? And then you go like, huh? What's McDonald's? And I would think you're weird, right? Like, what do you mean what's McDonald's? Because it's a norm and it's the standard to know what's McDonald's, right? Wouldn't it be great if RevoU comes to a stage where, what do you mean you don't know RevoU? Are you even living on Earth, right? It'd be nice, right? To get everybody to get used to the fact, and branding takes that level of position. So I want to teach you the dark arts of leveraging on cognitive biases. Okay. And that's really about influencer marketing and tapping on the biases in decision making. So to prove my point, I'm going to play a little quiz with you guys. Oops. Okay, I don't have the answers revealed. Okay. And the little riddle here. A father and a son are in a tragic car accident. The father dies and the son is rushed to a nearby hospital in critical condition. A surgeon is called in to operate and says at the last minute, I can't operate on him. This is my son. So I'll need a little bit of participation here. What do you guys think?
Wow, this is a very dark, like COVID-19 times type of riddle, huh? Gosh.
Oops. Oh, I've been using it as a little bit dark for the COVID-19, but just, can I imagine that situation? Okay, this is a perfectly logical question. It's not trying to, clear up anything. And if you have seen this riddle before, if you've seen the answer before, try to let others have a chance to think through it logically. I see two
Anybody
answers.
want to give it a shot? Unfortunately, I already saw the answer because I saw your deck before, so I can't answer. But anybody wanna give it a shot?
I actually see the answer already on the chat.
Aside from país, no? A país Gabisa.
I'm sorry?
No. So
Okay.
people want me to speak Bahasa, but then they don't understand what I'm saying, so it's better I speak to English.
Okay. I see the answer being typed into the chat box already. Very clever.
Yeah,
Olivia, Elizabeth, and Ronald. The surgeon is the mom. You're right. So I think this riddle sometimes gets people stuck a little bit. I've heard very interesting answers, right? Some supernatural answers. Like maybe it's the ghost, right? I don't know. I've also heard very creative answers like, okay, it's homosexual parents, father and father, right? Well, we're in an open society. What's wrong? That kind of thing. But actually, it's perfectly logical answer, which is the surgeon is the mom. But at the first thought, why would this even become a riddle? And we take a little bit of 1 or 2 minutes to think about it. It's because in our minds, usually surgeons are males. But for us, I am very sure that every one of us might have seen a female doctor somewhere, somehow in our lives, right? But why is it difficult to answer this question when it comes to us in this way? And it's our brains playing tricks on us, right? And that's the beauty of influencer marketing, because it's not as straightforward how many clicks, how many conversions, but it's that thought process behind influencing people subtly without people even probably knowing about it. Social norming. Okay. So social influences, social influence, one of it is about self-serving bias and how you want others to be influenced by you. And it's a lot about the bandwagon effect. I'm going to touch on this a little bit more in the 3 kind of ways that it is influenced. But before that, another question to you guys. I run a hair loss solutions salon. Okay, I am thinking to do an advertisement and put it up, and both my advertisements is gonna say the same message, right? Call me to get a free trial for your hair loss solution. On the left side, you would see a photo and say, avoid looking like that, call me now, right? And on the right side, it's like, if you want to look like that, call me now. I know we all have different standards of beauty, so it's kind of imagine this very handsome guy in all our eyes, okay? So which do you think will work better? avoid looking like that or desiring to look better? What do you guys think?
Any jokes on RevoU stuff not allowed, by the way, huh? I see this coming like 10 miles away.
By the way, Evangeline, can I, for the riddle thing, you know, the first thing that popped into my mind was that the father here is not the father of the son, and therefore it's just a father and a son, which could be a potential answer.
It's a very analytical deep thought. Thank you, Radzi.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he has been thinking about it since this afternoon, since he saw this live, probably, right?
Nah,
Deep.
yeah.
I see a lot of answers like that. Okay, some say to avoid looking like that. Some say to look better. The left one, the right one, LOL. I think that's we're not allowed to joke about.
That was my joke. That was my joke. Give it. Feels good to my ego, yeah?
Okay, so let's take a look here. The answer, as you can see on the right, this is playing on the endowment effect. Although you are the same hair salon with the same phone number and the same call to action about calling me for a free trial, but just a change in the messaging creates a huge difference. The pain from loss far outweighs the results of the pleasure from gain. In business, unfortunately, the two emotions that we all tap a lot on is fear and greed, right? On the left is fear and on the right is greed. And fear a lot outweighs, and this is the endowment effect. And it actually the solution is the same, right? Whether I look like whoever I look like right now, it doesn't change. The photo doesn't change how much hair I have on my head, right? But because of the different emotions that the salon is playing with, the effect can be very different.
Can I ask you
Yeah.
just a quick question, which is specifically on this topic?
Sure.
As a marketer, right? Since you know you are told that it's always better to convey basically the value of your product and build your brand on positive thought and affirmation rather than on negative and on fear-inducing statements, right? So, how do you handle at the same time the fact that maybe the pain from loss could have bigger impact, with the fact that as a brand you don't want to be associated with this kind of negative message and fearful messages?
So a lot of marketers are taught to kind of touch on inspiring lives and hope and all that, but there are also different schools of thought, because when we come into fear marketing, right, sometimes messages are really very subtle. It doesn't tell you upfront. For example, the Thai commercials that we are seeing, that we are crying, right? It shares about the story of the sad boy. I'm sure all of us have seen all those Thailand insurance commercials, like seeing the sad boy and all that. It makes us cry. It taps on a little negativity over there because it teared us, right? And we are touched by it. Is that a positive feeling, or is that slightly negative, that heartwarming, heart-wrenching feeling? So I don't know if it's entirely on the positive or the negative side, but I think the point here, right, is that if we put up any ad, it has to engage on emotions, whether what kind of messages we are going to put out there. Because I think one big gap that I observe in the market, right, is that a lot of ads do not call out to emotions. It's very informative, features, benefits, but it doesn't trigger anything in my heart. But once we can trigger that part, any part in the heart, be it heart-wrenching, warming, fear a little bit, missing, craving, desire. I think that's key. So I don't know, I'm in two minds as well, whether as a marketer we should be sending out messages. Of course, I think all the slightly more negative messages should be avoided if it's too in the face. But most marketing messages, especially when it comes to content marketing, has to be driven towards emotions, I think. All right, okay. I think I just, oh dear. Okay, it's my slide. I think I accidentally delete one slide, but it's okay. I'm just gonna flash this. Okay, so these are a few different cognitive biases that our minds have on us. You might be thinking, hey, am I attending a marketing lesson or a psychology lesson over here? I do think that, because I studied marketing as well in my university days, and I do think that marketing should have a good element of psychology inside, other than just learning the channels, placements and messaging, the copywriting, digital marketing, analytics, and things like that. Because I do think that psychology has a big part to play. And that's why I also have put in a little bit of this curriculum inside. Because as much as we have exposed to a message, one thing that I learned is that a lot of times we don't say what we feel, and we don't feel what we say, right? Give you an example. You're at a supermarket and you picked up the carton of milk, the one that you are familiar with, and you're just doing some grocery shopping. And then you get stopped by a surveyor and he asks you, hey, why are you picking up this brand of milk? And at that moment, you don't really know what to answer. And you're like, I don't know. It's just a brand that I usually pick up. It tastes good. The price is fair, I guess. And then in the survey form, there are a few fields, right? Price, taste, packaging, and then you're like, okay. And then people collect all this research, right? And then they're like, everybody thinks that our price is great. Let's not adjust it. But how much was that answer really how I was feeling inside? I don't know, man, because we justify our actions. We rationalize our purchase decisions. After we bought something, a branded watch, why do you buy it? Oh, it looks good. Are you sure? Like, we purchase on emotions, and then we rationalize our purchase with language. But when we make the purchase, a lot of emotions are unable to be articulated with language. So that's the thing. When people buy on emotions, but we don't understand the emotions enough, that's where I feel that psychology needs to be further understood. So let's touch a little bit about that. Okay, I'm not going to go too much into that. But I am not psychology trained, just to share with you guys, but I am thinking of attending a further study on that. If you guys provide it, I would want to learn more about it. Okay, so there are the A, B, and C. So influencer marketing, we tap a lot on availability heuristic. Okay, and bandwagon effect and confirmation bias. The clustering illusion. Okay, the rest are for your reading. When you're reading leisure time. Okay, so when we are looking at availability heuristic, right, we cannot overestimate certain information. For example, if I'm a smoker, then I might say, smoking is not unhealthy. You know that guy who was in China, he lived across the 100 years old. He was smoking 3 packs a day, man. It's okay. But of course, when you really look at the statistics and the figures, then it may show you something different. I don't know how many of you are smokers or non-smokers, so this is just an example, okay? But we kind of just harp on this particular information and are blinded to others. but we're using that to rationalize our decision. So this is one of a cognitive bias. When it's used for influencer marketing, it's like, hey, this skin cream that was promoted online, it's like the best. Did you see the image of the before and after? It's like instantly the pimples, they were gone, right? Skin acne free suddenly. But this suddenly takes the spotlight because this was what the person really needed to solve as a problem. And social media influencer marketing taps a lot on this. Okay. The second one is a bandwagon effect, which we commonly know it as FOMO, fear of missing out, as a casual language. When we think that everybody's on TikTok, wow, I better learn about TikTok right now, otherwise I'll be losing out. I better know how many new cases are there today. I better know about this topic, otherwise I feel like I am out. And whenever we're put in a group setting, group thing starts to happen as well. So the bandwagon effect is really where people want to hop on and they feel a lot more comfortable when they are part of the bandwagon. And that's what influencer marketing can cast as an effect as well. When everybody has performed a movement of a dance move on TikTok, it just makes me feel like I needed to do it as well, right? And the next one is clustering illusion. Sometimes, for example, we may see an ad on TV, and then the next thing we saw it on Instagram. And at the third time, when we go to a nearby pharmacy, we see the product, and we're like, oh my God, this product is all over the place. I'm gonna buy it and just try if it's really that good. But you have only seen it twice. And you say it's all over the place. I'm sure every one of us has the experience. Perhaps you heard 3 times and it just feels like everyone is talking about it. And that's the clustering illusion. And influencer marketing, when conducted by a lot of influencers at one go, we usually try to deliver the clustering illusion. All right, there is a lot more. Very interesting to me, but maybe not very interesting to you guys. So I shall come back to a marketing class here. So anyway, the slides will be made available for you to continue reading on it. Okay, so as we know already, a lot of people are blocking ads, so it makes things really challenging. Influencer marketing is right now a $6.5 billion industry. It's very exciting. So 46% of people have been blocking ads. I like influencer marketing a lot because it achieves a lot of objectives in a single way. Number one, it helps to convey emotions. Number two, we are always trying to reach out to customers, right? But these influencers, they have an existing relationship with hundreds of thousands of followers. And what the brand only needs to do is to hijack that relationship, which is a very close relationship the followers have with the influencer, which I think is really fast. And number three, the brands are always thinking, how do I create a content that actually works? But influencers know best how to create content that definitely works because they've been doing this every minute of their lives. So which means by tapping on influencer marketing, number one, you get instant content, instant marketing distribution. And number three, you get to do it with emotions and you get to hijack their relationship with the followers. So it's good. It's a win-win-win-win-win all. That's one of the reasons why it's really pushing the boundaries in marketing. Okay, so it helps to push through awareness, influence consumers, boost sales, customer loyalties. Okay. So how do we go about doing influencer marketing? The first step is always trying to identify who works best for you. Try to touch base, cultivate the relationship, and of course, after that, execute a campaign. So there are a few kinds of influencers. We call them the ultra micro influencers. Some other textbooks call it the nano influencers. We kind of call it, usually have lesser than 1,000 followers on Instagram. Instagram is the dominant platform for influencer marketing everywhere in the world except China. and some other countries, but predominantly it's Instagram. It is a more popular platform than Facebook or YouTube. Reason being, Instagram has a very high organic reach. Facebook has good reach, but mostly paid reach. When you put out something on Facebook and you haven't paid ads, they're not gonna help you out with your content. But Instagram, predominantly visual, high organic reach, has been really useful. YouTube is not as successful as Instagram when it comes to influencer marketing, because when people go to YouTube, because they have a specific need to watch a how-to video, to find out how to fix my car, how to fix, things, or find a recipe to find. We go there for intent. But when we're on Instagram, we have no intent. We're just catching up on life and entertaining ourselves. And that's where we get a lot more eyeballs on Instagram versus YouTube. But on YouTube, of course, people are spending a longer time on YouTube because we go there with intent and we're going to watch through the video, 3 minutes or 5 minutes on how to fix my car. So it has a very different usage. But definitely there are a lot of successful YouTubers that can create long form video content that get people to watch them. But most of the marketing money that we are passing off to in influencers are all Instagram. Okay, and then coming back to the influencers followers, I digressed. So after the nano influencers, you have the micro influencers between 1,000 to 50,000. All is on Instagram, and then power middle, sort of macro, and then the mainstream. Let's see if I have, okay, I have this one. Okay, so this is the Singapore version. But I think in Indonesia, you probably need to or even in Malaysia, you need to add one more zero behind or something, okay? Because Singapore is a very small population. Okay, so this Singapore version, the mega influencers, the person that has the most number of followers on Instagram, I don't think you guys know him. He's a singer, okay? He's got 4 million followers. That's the most number of followers anybody could have on Instagram.
What anyone knows? Anyone can share. So, what is the biggest celebrity on Instagram across categories in Indonesia? Razi, I'm sure you know.
I just know that someone like Katy Perry has hundreds of millions.
Yeah, but Katy Perry.
Locally, I have no idea. I don't follow the celebrity culture, and unfortunately, this is my blind spot: is influencer marketing. That's why I'm paying attention here.
Anyone want to?
I think
share?
I can share some something.
Yes.
Maybe Raffi Ahmad, he has I don't know, let me check it right now, because he has a huge following. It's 40 million followers.
Yeah,
40 million easy.
Yes. Let me share you the
and what is it? Is that a singer? Sorry for my complete ignorance. Is that singer, actor?
He's a TV host, I think.
Yeah, TV host, TV personality.
Okay.
His son, I think, has more followers than most Indonesians.
Okay.
His baby son or something.
Cool. Thank you for sharing, Elvita. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes. You really added another zero behind. So this is our largest influence. I mean, he's not really influencer. He's just a singer. It's JJ Lin, 4.4 million. Yeah. This is more exciting. Cool. Nice. So so you can see the landscape really differs depending on which market we're looking at. And then the next tier, we have the macro influencers, kind of like the YouTubers or bloggers that we're looking at. They made themselves famous online. Unlike the one that you've shared just now, he probably did not originate from online. He must have been a singer on other places or whatsoever, and then he's considered like a celebrity tier. But there is also a big bunch of people who made themselves famous online, right? And they are very good in creating content. The guy that I showed you just now, JJ Lin, who has 4.4 million, he's naturally a singer. He cannot create online content. He just has an Instagram to update people of what's going on. Just like Katy Perry, right? Like what Matt has shared, right? She's a singer, but she has an Instagram and everybody would like to follow it. And for the macro influencers, they usually have a slightly lower following, a few hundreds of thousands in Singapore. I'm sure in Indonesia there are millions of followers. Oh, someone knows JJ Lin. JJ Lin's song is very nice. Thank you. Thank you for knowing this guy. Okay, and then we have our micro influencers. Okay, usually between 100,000, below 1,000 to 100,000 in Singapore. Okay, and then we have the nano influencers, kind of below 1,000 in following. The micro influencers, they come in all shapes and sizes. Okay, you have people, we call it the non-humans and the humans. Okay, humans, which, you know, people like us. And then there is a non-humans where you have no idea who is behind the scene. They are represented by cartoons, pets and dogs, cats and dogs, maybe just a food item all the time. So this one, they have a totally online persona that nobody really knows who's behind the scene, the non-humans, we call them. Okay, and they have different categories. Okay. So today, the influencer landscape that we're looking at, right, is really wide. When we look at an influencer and we need to find someone who's relevant, we need to study the influencer's interest, whether it's food, fashion, makeup, etc. And nowadays, right, it's getting really fragmented because even food is a really large category. When it comes to food, there is cafe food, there is local food, there is only travel for food. There is a fine dining lovers with a nice wine glass. And then there is explorers. And then there is a home cook. And a home cook is different from a home baker because apparently baking and cooking falls in different categories. And then there's the bento sushi makers. And then there is the parents making lunch boxes for kids food category. So you can see even food, it has a lot of categories. And then fashion, another big bunch, right? Makeup, there is the people who like to swap the lipstick colors. There's those that likes to do the makeup regime, the before and after. There are people who like to do extreme makeup, the Halloween kind, doing all sorts of funny things. Pets, big category, right? Fitness as well. Fitness, you have that leisure fitness. You have that stand in front of camera, take picture of your six packs fitness. And then you have your yoga crazy pose people. It's a large category over there. And then they have different interests. Then they have also the very different profiles. You have the parents, millennials. Millennials now are kind of old actually. Okay, you have your expats, entrepreneurs, so on and so forth. You also need to know their content strength, their brand sentiment, whether they're good at taking photos, videos, live streaming, whether they like your brand, hate your brand, whether what's their style is about. You know, hypebeasts, we're looking at Korean hypebeasts, it's different from the US hypebeasts. The Korean is light colored, curly hair, the Park Bo Gum, and in the US, it's the dark, punk rapper, very different. And then some of them have very curated feed. Some of them have an all natural, on the go kind of feed. They also have very different stage of life. Just got pregnant, just got married, just got proposed, moving into a new home. Some of them have skin conditions that you need to watch about, home cook, so on and so forth. So we need to identify a lot of different data points for influencers, where in the past it's quite straightforward. Okay, travel bloggers, here you go. Food bloggers, parent bloggers, lifestyle, fashion, here you go. the list of them, but now it's just a lot crazier. Okay, so I'm worried that I am running a little out of time and I want to spend a good 15 minutes for Q&A. So I'm going to zoom in into the most important thing, which is the last thing, which is pricing. A lot of people ask us this question: how much do I pay influencers? Do I actually have to pay them, and how much?
Yes. I think that everyone will be super interested about that.
Yeah, top favorite question. So, the irritating thing about influencer marketing is that there is no standard price. Everybody's just like in the market trying to haggle the price. But I can share with you what are the factors that affect an influencer price. The first one is whether or not you are going to do any loading for the influencer's content. If you're going to take it and put it on your own website, run some ads around it, they're going to charge you loading fee, or rather royalties for it. Okay. And if you need them to do a video, they'll ask you how many minutes. Do I need to find an outdoor scene? Can I do it myself? Can I use it my usual phone, or do you need a high quality? So the more intense the requirements are, the more expensive they will charge. So this makes it different. And if you need them to, okay, you cannot work with all my competitors, you can only work with them, then you better pay them the price tag that your competitors will be paying them. And usually has a period of time, 6 months or 12 months, okay? It also depends whether they have a celebrity status. Some people, for example, in Singapore, we have a very famous soccer star. His name is Fandi Ahmad. However, on his Instagram, he's only at less than 100,000 followers. It shouldn't cost much. But because he is the national superstar, he costs around 8 times more expensive than someone else that has the same number of followers. So it depends whether the person has any other celebrity status. They may charge extra premium for that status. Okay, they also look into what is the quality of content required, if it's just an IG story. Also the value of the free product, if they like your brand and if your brand has built sufficient brand equity, like Casetify, Nike, Adidas. It's cool always to have the latest season. You may be able to get influencer for free. Of course, if you're giving them a free car, then it's easy. Okay, age group, slightly, older ones, they will charge more. Okay, and then lastly, there is also very specific niche sets of influencers. For example, the photographers that only take photos of architecture and buildings. They usually charge more because they are very niche and they know it. They also get a lot lesser jobs. That's why for every job, they charge a lot more. Okay. So these are the factors that affect price, and it is usually a one-off engagement. Okay, so at this note, do you have any questions for me? We can enter the Q&A section.
Okay, guys, feel free to unmute and ask away.
Hey,
We
I
don't
have
have a lot of
questions.
time, so. Yeah, okay, go
I have
ahead,
a question.
Rebeldi.
Yes,
Hey,
so because you talk about a lot of maybe social media marketing. So in your experience, how much effective is it compared with the real ads, like Google ads or Instagram ads? So how much the difference, the effectiveness between the social media marketing with the real advertisement? Thank you.
Thank you for asking, Rivaldi. So it depends on the product that you're trying to sell. If you're, for example, in a B2B marketing, you're selling a printer machine, then I think Google Ads will work a lot better, because the target audience using social media, it's going to be a very branding approach to sell printers. And after people get to know the brand of printers, they start to spread the word around, and the sales cycle is a lot longer from branding all the way to conversion. If you're trying to track conversions of buying the printers as the end result, then Google Ads is definitely better off. But for example, if you're selling a toothpaste, right? People are not going to Google for toothpaste, and no matter how many times you show me that ad on toothpaste, I'm not going to buy it, because I walk past the department store and I'll just grab a toothpaste, and it's just depending whether I can recognize the brand or not. And to recognize that brand, influencer marketing is really useful. Or if influencers are able to showcase that benefit, it's going to help. So influencer marketing is especially strong in a few categories: FMCG, fast-moving consumer goods, the food products, the personal care products, anything that requires a bit of experience, experiential sharing, personal credibility, that works really well for influencer marketing. So to answer your question, I think it's hard to compare which is generally more effective. I've seen a lot more effectiveness in influencer marketing for some products, and I've seen a lot more effective marketing in Google Ads. So it really depends.
Okay, so if one product, can we like combine between the advertisement and the social media marketing, and what will be the effect based on your experience if one product use both technique?
Good
Basically,
question.
whether, I think to add on top of that, whether you see any, reinforcing effect or any cannibalization effect, right? Especially if you're already, for example, if you're using Instagram, right? So you're both advertising and at the same time using influencer marketing. What is the combined effect of doing both, if I understand also correctly, and built on top of Vivaldi's question?
Yes. Thanks for asking this question. I think for my personal opinion, definitely no cannibalization. Definitely reinforcement. Going to be supercharged if you use both at the same time. Two mind-blowing cases, one really recent and one not so recent. The most recent one is Casetify. I'm going to show you guys. Have you guys seen this brand before?
Nope.
Okay. I think it's fairly new. They just opened up in Indonesia like a month ago or something. So they sell phone cases. Okay. They spend a lot both on influencer marketing as well as Google remarketing ads. Reinforces the message a lot. Because after someone sees an ad, someone that's using the influencer marketing, they left Instagram, go to website, didn't check out the cart, ads continue to chase the person, go to the email, receives another email about the case, and then I was like, heck it, I'll buy it. The classic success is that when we launched their Coca-Cola collaboration, it's not even here anymore, I think. This one. They had to restock it in 24 hours. It's pretty crazy. So I think when the effect, no more anymore. When the effect was combined, it's a lot better. So this is the most recent case, just 2 weeks ago. The other case that I saw was a case called Microtrail. They are selling engagement rings. So that was a very good control situation where I was dealing with the client. And by the way, that client was one of the reasons why I started Kobe, because I was doing performance marketing, right? Your traditional advertising, Google ads and all that. So the client gave me 12 months worth of budget. I think during that time, 5 years ago, is around $4,000 per month, okay, US dollars per month. It was quite good, a budget, a good size budget. So we were running the campaign for 12 months. Every month I needed to optimize the campaign, send the reports, do the testing and yada, right? And then I was doing a collaboration with another influencer agency called Netcentric Nafneng. They're listed in Australia. What my partner agency did, who today she's my co-founder, she called 3 bloggers. And the 3 bloggers came down to the shop, tried the engagement ring, and then shared it on their, and that time it wasn't even Instagram, it was blogs, right? They shared it on their blogs. And that was the only thing she needed to do, right? Same budgets. So she got $48,000 to engage 3 bloggers. I had $48,000 to spend for 1 year of work. So her job was make a call. To me, in my perspective, I'm sure it wasn't easy to build that relationship and all that, right? But to me, it was like a call, 3 bloggers. You're never going to beat my version of work for 12 months, right? I remember 1 week later, the same client called me and he asked me, what are you doing? I sold out last week after the bloggers came down. Can you transfer the budget to her? It was the 3rd month of our engagement. I was very upset because 3 months of work, optimization, sending reports, and trying to do things that are good for you, and 3 bloggers comes and it spoils all my budget. I was very upset. So that was also one of the reasons why I started Kobe, because I was amazed by the impact that 3 bloggers could bring about. In the end, the client did not stop the services with me, because we asked him, hey, how about this? If the bloggers really made sense for you, how about let me take the bloggers' content that they put up on your ads? Because, you know, the bad thing about social media is just a burst, and then after that, people no longer read the blog because the new content stacks on top. Let me take that content, I'll continue to run it as ads for you. And then you get a win-win, and you double the impact. And the client says, sure. And we continue to use that content, and that became our strategy. We took the content, whichever blogger, new bloggers came, do the content, we remarketed it the following year. Today, I think he's the de facto engagement ring company in Singapore. So I definitely witnessed the reinforcement effect with my own eyes, and I truly believe in it.
And maybe one follow-up question on that would be, you know, whether, I mean, what kind of correlation do you see between, you know, the impact of you know, influencer marketing, especially compared to other, you know, form of digital marketing, when it comes to basically higher value items? Because what I would think is, you know, the bigger the basket size, the bigger the value of the item, the more the trust element becomes important, and that's specifically where basically influence marketing can work even better than other, you know, platforms like Facebook ads or Google ads. Is that also what you see from your experience? Is there some sort of correlation?
Kind of like the bigger ticket the item, the better influencer marketing it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it really depends. So we've sold like $200 watches. I think it depends on what category you're looking at. But there are watches that cost a lot more. There are also watches that cost a lot less. But I wouldn't say that definitely items that are bigger ticket goes better on influencer marketing. Items that could be really low ticket items could do really well in influencer marketing. It depends on which stage of the funnel we're trying to attack in the marketing funnel. Say, for example, I'm trying to buy a massage chair that is $1,000. And a massage chair, I place it in my room. It's a long sales cycle because I need to consider which model, whether my family would like me to have a massage chair. So there's various decision makers. I would probably do a lot of research on which one is more suitable because I want to hear a lot more reviews. And because of this heavier investment, I am going to do a lot more research, read a lot more blogs and all that things. In this case, if influencer marketing were to be used as reviews, clocking up on the web content just to provide that testimonials, yes, it's going to work a lot. But if you are asking the influencer marketing to be executed in a way where people are kind of just putting photos on Instagram, showing themselves laying very comfortably, I don't think it's going to work because we're not going to see an Instagram post and just go like, I got to buy a massage chair, right? So I think the more meaningful way would be to identify the right stage of the funnel, the message that we're trying to convey, and then plant it effectively. And then complement it with other digital marketing strategies as search, because people are going to search different keywords to look for you. And then people are perhaps going to procrastinate about the decision because it's a long cycle, and then continue to chase it with remarketing just to remind, you know, Father's Day is coming, you know, buy something special for your dad soon. So I think it's a complementary of all different kind of items and any ticket items. Yeah.
Guys, so come on, feel free to ask any other
Evangeline,
questions.
you're okay for staying a little bit longer just to answer a few more questions?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Excellent, cool. All right, guys, any questions?
I have a question.
All right, go ahead, Toe.
Okay, so actually I've been observing about people behavior in Instagram, right? I mean, people is already know how which post is actually like promoting something or not. So if that post is promoting something, the engagement is slightly lower or maybe like a half of it. So how you deliver your influencer, right? How you drive your influencer to kind of send the message, dissolving the message, but you still hit that message point to and deliver it to the audience. How you escape that?
Good question. So it's even worse for Singapore because sometimes the content really does not look like an ad, but we are forced to declare that it is an ad, you know. So it kind of makes things worse, right? Because a lot of people ask me, well, influencer marketing is supposed to look like it's not an ad. But you have to declare it's an ad because we're living in Singapore. So what's the point of all these things? And you know, why not you just run an ad? Why do you pay influencer since everybody knows in an ad is an ad? So my answer to that is that in influencer marketing, it's important that we are not trying to pretend that we're not an ad, but we're trying to tell a story out of the personal experience and be upfront about it. That is an ad. So like what you say, people are getting really smart. We can smell an ad away, even if people don't declare it. Much worse when people declare it, right? So important to be tasteful about things, even though people know ad. Just example, the Thai ad, Thailand commercials that we've been crying about. We all know it's an ad, but we still cry and we share. That's tasteful ad. That's power of content. So in influencer marketing, what we chase after is not to try to pretend it's not an ad or try to, you know, ace the engagement rates, but really to tell a story through the influencer's mouth, even though the users knows that it's an ad. Yes, engagement rates may be lower, but we still are able to tell a story and push it through. So I give you an example over here. We've got a Japanese client, Japanese brand. They're called Don Don Donki. I'm not sure whether they have outlets in Indonesia. No?
But it's
Okay.
actually quite familiar here also. I mean, if people going to Singapore, is okay, I will go to Don Don Donki like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, Don Don Donki. It's a pretty popular Japanese store, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the content angle that we ran, of course, usual influencer marketing, the you know how you would do it is just asking people go there, take a photo. Okay, this is Don Don Donki, and then it's so obvious it's sponsored, right? And it's kind of cringy. So how we do it is that we got the influencers to showcase their top picks of Don Don Donki and tell people that, hey, you know, these are 5 items that I usually people don't know about, but I always buy these 5 items because it's good for me. One is for my skin, and they show the texture of the food, a little bit of ASMR. ASMR is you know, eating really loudly and making you hear the sound, the slurping of the noodles. It's the trend, right? Showing the ASMR about the event of eating or of applying the thing, and we all know it's an ad, right? Something that Don Don Donki sponsored, right? We all have to declare it, but people still want to know what are the key things to buy. Yeah, so I think this example really shows an execution of influencer marketing that can be done tastefully, brings the content across, and people still know it's an ad. I think this is the way to go for influencer marketing. Haha, thanks, Lawrence.
Okay, guys. So maybe last final question.
Can I ask one before the final question? So I give some more time for the final questions. One that is, I'm sure is going to be very, well, I hope it's going to be interesting for many, which is regarding Indonesia specifically. So, you know, you are present or you are expanding in the multiple countries outside of Singapore. So what I wanted to ask you to share with everyone here is, what are the things that, based on your experience, you have seen that changes between countries? And what are the things that you see, you know, between Thailand, China, Singapore, and Indonesia and Philippines, if I'm not mistaken, you're also there. It's the same. And specifically, if there are anything about Indonesia that based on your experience is different from the other countries.
Okay, I'm going to share exactly on my Casetify example because it's the most recent. So the thing about social media is that if it's not a recent observation within the last 1 week or 2 weeks, it's outdated. So it's you need to be embracing a quick, dynamic, changing industry. Forever young, forever chasing trends. So I'm going to share with you the recent case of Casetify. So we did Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, and Singapore campaigns. So we approach influencers to get them to use the case, right? Very different behaviors. Okay, for the case itself, because Casetify has launched in Singapore for a long time, right? And I think the spending power is a bit different. When we were talking to Singapore influencers to get a case, most of them are like, why should I do it with you? You know, how much are you going to pay me? And I already have a Casetify, right? I think the culture is a little bit different as well. And I think in Singapore, right, it's a little bit of a complaint culture, maybe. When a cluster of influencers boycott a brand, unfortunately, the brand is, because the density in Singapore is so high. When a cluster of influencers boycott a brand, it's difficult for the brand to get their way through within the influencer community. I've seen a lot of dead cases of brands in Singapore. And then when someone does something nasty to an influencer, they typically take it, share on Instagram, everybody boycott. So it's happened quite a few times. So I see that especially a lot in Singapore. I haven't really observed that in other countries. I think reason not just about the general culture about the country, but because other countries are not as dense as Singapore, where in Singapore everybody kind of knows each other, especially influencer community is really small. So if we're looking at larger populations, that problem is not as intense. The second thing through the Casetify example was that Indonesia take-up rate was perfect. Almost every influencer that we spoke to, even people, okay, in Singapore, even the 50,000 followers, they're like, who are you? But Indonesia, we're talking to like people who has 500,000 followers and they're very friendly. I think the humility is something that I really appreciate and enjoy talking to them. No matter how high their following is in Singapore, if you have 600,000 followers, you do not talk to anyone. You are the diva.
These are not Indonesian influencers. These are Indonesian in general.
Yeah. And I want to add one thing actually. I want to add one thing. The reason why is I think a lot of Indonesians are easy to forgive and forget. It's a cultural thing as well. So I think even if you made a mishap, like over time, most Indonesians are easy to kind of forgive and are also likely to forget.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Can agree with that.
I love it. Yeah, so I think it translated totally to social media because my team was enjoying working with the Indonesian influencers so much. It's so friendly. We love it. And the campaign just ran so quickly. The Singaporeans asked questions, a lot of questions. Yeah. So anyway, that's our playground. So we're kind of used to it anyway. Yeah. Another observation is about social selling. I think in Indonesia, because of the larger population, social selling actually works a lot better. Because social selling, you need numbers. If only 1,000 people are tuning into your live streaming, maximum you can get 10, 20, 30 pieces of sale. And in Singapore, the maximum number of viewers that tunes into live streaming, the highest I've observed is from celebrities is like 1,000, 2,000. That's the highest. An average would be 50, 60, 70, hundreds. That's probably the number of followers you have in your private Instagram account. So it's kind of sad. But in Indonesia, we've observed the live social selling and all that. The volumes of the viewers are huge. And with that kind of numbers, you get that kind of conversions, which I think is really amazing. So I think there are a lot of potential because of the population size and the untapped markets. So I'm very excited about the growth of social media in Indonesia.
Thank you. Razi,
Chris has a quick question or no? Yeah, by the way, I want to introduce you to Chris Evangeline. He has the best audio setup of the whole claess. He has a whole studio in his room.
The whole archipelago, actually, not the whole class.
I can see that.
I just want to ask about the workflow when especially paperworks. Talking, negotiating with them, right, and try to put a valuation. And when we enter into a discussion about price, how you bring this into a contract, because of course it's not a small money when you are talking about this channel, getting the influencers to for our campaign, right? Yeah. So yeah, I just want to know what kind of paperwork that you are normally, after you got the agreement, then you should have kind of a paperwork between you and the influencer and your clients, so everything is protected.
Yes, yes. You're right. Maybe I can do a quick sharing over here on the workflow that we have, and maybe this answers your question. So this is our internal technology. It's called the IMS, Influencer Marketing System. And this is also the part of the patent that we're looking at. I am logging in as a super admin user. So I think on the left-hand side, you can see the flow of our influencer marketing campaigns when we activate a campaign, right? Which means we start running a campaign with our clients, and then we start to discover and pair the influencers, and then we enter the co-creation stage together with the influencers, and finally the complete stage. The way that we do it when we do the profiling, right, is that when the influencers sign up with us, using the AI and the NLU, IR, right, we are able to extract certain keywords from these photos as well as the content. We store all these keywords at the back end. So now we understand our influencers a lot better, right? The next step is that we go in and we try to understand our clients a lot better. We capture all their data, okay, into this kind of format. Okay, what is the campaign name, their objective, unique advantages, their target requirements. Okay, it's really, really long. Okay, what is required of the influencer, the content angle, the image inspiration, and etc.
Driven platform, and then you can get rid of all the admin.
I recommend you become an influencer, Chris. You got the setup.
Yes,
by the
you
way,
do.
Evangeline, are you okay to answer one final question? Final question.
Yeah, sure. Please
okay,
go
so Elizabeth, go ahead.
So I cannot ask some more then.
No, Teo,
No,
sorry, man.
Teo cannot.
ladies first. Elizabeth, you there?
Oh, okay.
Great.
Well, hi, Evangeline. My name is Elizabeth, and now I'm working in a digital agency.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And sometimes I'm running some social media campaign, my client's brand. And of course, they requires influencers when I got to running some campaign. My client sometimes wants to have as many as influencers, but also they look for the highest impact as well. If we move aside the budget-wise, so how do you think I should decide about the effectiveness? I mean, like, would it be more effective if I have 20 micro influencers or just 10 macro influencers? Which is more effective if I have to decide between both of those options?
This is a very good last question, because imagine 20 people. If you add up 20 people, they have the same number of followers as 10 influencers,
macro,
right? Yeah. Just
macro.
imagine in this situation, right? Both the total number of eyeballs seems like it's the same. Who should I be choosing? So I recommend two things. The first one is to remember the 3 R's. Okay, the 3 R's are reach, relevance, and resonance. Reach is important because the amount of impact you can cast based on your number of followers is important. But the second R is relevance, whether they are relevant to your brand. Maybe the 10 are more relevant. Maybe the 20 are more relevant. Maybe you need to pick out some of them that are more relevant to the brand. And the third one is resonance, whether the story that you're going to tell together with the brand, does it resonate with each other, and does it resonate with the end consumers? So rather than just looking at the number of followers, we need to look beyond that into their relevance as well as the resonance. So that's the first rule of thumb that I would suggest. The second one is we always want to focus on double strategy. A lot of campaigns that we run, right, we actually intentionally use a good mix of all kinds of tiers. Sometimes we use the high tiers influencers to create a little bit of awareness, buzz, and credibility, because it's like, oh, okay, if this person has used it, it must be a legitimate brand that actually exists and can pay people well, right?
Mm.
So it adds a little bit of credibility, and it has a huge base of fans or followers. But for these huge celebrity influencers, right, number one, it's a bit expensive. But if budget is not a concern, the second thing is that engagement rates are really low, because a lot of people that follow celebrities are general public or third degree friends or even acquaintances. We're not that close, and that's why we're not that engaged. On platforms, the data shows that the engagement rates are a lot lower. So it's good to use maybe one or two macro celebrities and then mix with some macro, get a bunch of micro. And then the micro influencers, although their reach is a lot lower, their engagement rates are a lot higher. So usually we do a good mix between all of them, and they tell different stories for our clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We can mix all from all the tires, as you say, right?
Yeah, of course.
That's interesting. Okay. Thank you. I'll send you Oreo Supreme.
Oh, thank you.
So expensive. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Evangeline. Thank you so much for
Yep.
for staying overtime. I mean, I'm sure that we had tens and tens of additional questions.
Yeah.
But super interesting topic. So it's a topic, the whole influencer marketing, which we didn't cover specifically in our program. That's something that might change in the future, given that it's a topic that is trending quite nicely everywhere, and then also in Indonesia, right? So to just conclude, I know that you are expanding in Indonesia. You are looking to basically additional, if I'm not mistaken, potentially people to help you out on the client side. Mind share just a few words so that we share that with our students, and if there are any interested in getting deeper into the influencer marketing world, then we can send them your way.
Thank you very much. So yeah, right now we have a headcount that is helping us out in a part-time basis in Indonesia. She's based in Jakarta, but we are looking at expanding that site, especially on two fronts. One is to help us get more clients on board for us, and the second role that we're looking at is for people to help us fulfill any clients that is looking for Indonesian campaigns. So for those that are curious, or maybe not curious, just add me on LinkedIn. We can stay connected. Send me a message, and if you're curious about the opportunity, just send me a message on LinkedIn. I'm happy to share with you the details.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Razi. Any final words from your side?
Evangeline, thank you very much for your time to go half an hour beyond our slot. I want to thank you for everything that you shared. I think for me as well, I learned a lot about word of marketing and word of mouth and influencer marketing. I think the students, it added on to what they were studying this week. And also inspired by what you mentioned before, word of mouth, we're actually announcing our student referral program tonight. So I'll send that, guys, into the announcement channel. And we have a bunch more questions, but unfortunately we run out of time. Thank you very much. Hopefully we get to catch up again with you soon.
Yes, thank you. Stay safe, everybody.
Cheers.
Thank
you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.